There. Okay, Boker Tov. We learn Yuli Nishmat Avigdor Chai Avram ben Rachel Leo Meir Tzvi Neshama Shnev ben Aliyah. One of the things that I have stressed since we first started quite a while back, with Pirke Avot, is that not always, but very often, the statements that are quoted in the name of the rabbis in the Mishnah are very much informed by their life experience, their preferences, their things that they want to stress, that they stressed in their life, which was the expression "Hu Haya Omer," he used to say, which we've seen a lot and we'll continue to see because it was something that was frequently said. Other times, like I say, it's a life event that has caused them to make certain statements. The next Mishnah, it's Mishnah 17. We're in chapter 3. Well, I'll be putting it on the screen, but we're not going to get to it yet for a little bit. It starts off with a man named Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. His name will sound familiar to you because of the Seder. The Seder, it says, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, I am like 70 years old. And most people, when they get to that paragraph in the Haggadah, are well aware that there is an incident that occurred where Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, had some miraculous event and his hair turned white overnight, something like that. And he looked like he was 70. So, and that's the extent of many people know. I want to spend a few minutes today reading the Gemara that's the background to it, because the Gemara, the story that we're going to look at, while it is actually fairly famous, it will very clearly understand, we will very clearly understand why Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says what he does in the upcoming Mishnah. I can just go to the Mishnah, but without the background. But the connection is really wonderful. So let me just get the screen up on the Gemara on the screen. Okay. We're going to start right over here. Actually, can I annotate? Yes. Okay. We're going to start right there where it says Tanu Rabbanan. Let me stop annotating. Okay. Tanu Rabbanan. Our rabbis taught. We're going to learn all this and a little bit on the next side of the page as well. I'll go through it slowly. And as I say, as we go through this, you're learning two things. You're learning what in a specific experience that happened with Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah that caused him to say what he does in the upcoming Mishnah. And you're learning an important piece of history that took place at that time. Tanu Rabbanan. Oh, one more introduction. When we look at halakha today, when you open up a Shulchan Aruch or a Mishnah Berurah or a Tur or anything, or Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, we are already hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years after the codification of the law, which means that we're not today saying, I wonder what tefillin are supposed to be made out of. We already know that. But that all came about, for those of you who were in the Jewish history class and or just know this, we know that the time period of the Talmud, the Mishnah Talmud, from approximately 200 to 500, even before 200, was the time of the growth and the development of halacha, eventually getting codified by the Rif, and then by the Rambam, and then by the author of the Shulchan Aruch, Yosef Karo. The reason I'm saying that in this introduction is it's not going to make any sense to you, the question the Gemara asks, until you know that. Tanu Rabbanan. Our rabbis taught. Maaseh ben Talmid Echad is a story of a student. Sheba lifnei Rabbi Yoshua. He came into the Beit Midrash, and he went to Rabbi Yoshua and asked the question. Amar le. So the student said to Rabbi Yehoshua, Tfilat Arvit, davening Mariv, Reshut or Chova. Is it something that we can do? It's a nice thing to do, or is it a Chova that we have to do? Now, the reason I say the question won't make any sense is we know we daven Mariv. We have a Chova to daven Mariv. There's a requirement, because we have to daven 3 times a day. So what are you be asking me this question? So just the short answer, or the short answer to this question is that originally it was looked at as reshut, as you had the right to, and eventually over centuries it became a requirement. Okay, but now we're not past that. We're just at the beginning of this question. Amarle, so Rabbi Yoshua said to him, reshut. He said, you can. It doesn't have to be done, but it's a good thing to do. I should make the screen just a little bit bigger and move you all over here. Okay. Where am I here? It says, Amalei B'shut. Balite Rabban Gamliel. He went to Rabban Gamliel, and he asked the same question. So again, it's not yet codified. He's trying to get to a sense of what the rabbis say regarding the Tfilat Arvit. Amalei Tfilat Arvit. Amalei Tfilat Arvit Reshut or Chova. Amalei Chova. So Rabban Gamliel says you have to daven Marv. Amarle, so the student responded, wait a minute. Lower Yoshua, Amarle Yoshut. This other rabbi, the Beit Midrash, just told me we don't have to. So I said, oh, good point. There seems to be a difference of opinion. Amarle, so Rabbi Gamliel said to the student, Hamtain, Achi Kansu Baletri Levet Midrash. Wait until the ones who carry the shields come into the Beit Midrash. It's an expression. Wait till the Chachamim come into the Beit Midrash, and we'll discuss it. Again, this is the perfect view into the time period of the Talmud of what would go on in the Beit Midrash. Questions were raised, they were discussed. When the Chachamim came in, Amada Shoel v'Sha'al, the student who was asking the question, stood up and asked, Tfilat Arvit Reshut o Chova? Is Mariv a requirement, or can we just do it if we want to? Amar le Rabban Gamliel. So Rabban Gamliel said, Chova, just like he had said earlier. It's a Chova, you have to. So then the Chachamim turned to Rabban Gamliel, who said, you have to daven Mariv. And they asked, is there anybody who disagrees with this? Rabbi Yoshua, who had earlier said it's just permission to do it. Lav, no, everyone agrees with him. So they said back to Rabbi Yoshua, the student said, wait a minute. Didn't we... it wasn't the student, it was Rabbi Gamliel said, didn't they? I heard that you said that it's a reshut. So what do you mean no one disagrees? You did disagree with me. Amalei Yoshua. So he said to him, Yehoshua, Amolda Raglecha. Rabbi Gamliel said to Rabbi Yehoshua in a very not nice way. He didn't say Rabbi Yehoshua, he said Yehoshua. I call him by his name. Amolda Raglecha. Stand up, and they're going to give testimony against you, meaning they're going to say that you did say this. Amad Rabbi Yoshua Raglav. Rabbi Yoshua stood up, and he said, if I were alive and the person who heard me say this were dead, and the living person could disagree with the one who's dead, because the dead person can't say, no, that's not what I heard. But now, says Rabbi Yoshua, now that I'm living, and this witness is living, how am I supposed to disagree? I mean, I guess I did say it. So you think that's the end of the situation, right? Okay, Rabbi Gamliel said it's chovah. Rabbi Yoshua said it's reshut, and they have a disagreement. Far from over. Now remember, he told Rabbi Yoshua, stand up. He stays standing. Rabbi Gamliel, after this little back and forth, he just continues teaching. He was the Nasi, he was the head of the Beit Midrash, and he just continues teaching. Yoshev Doresh, Rabbi Yoshua made Araglav, and then Rabbi Yoshua just stood there like a fool. He was just standing there. No, why? Why didn't he just sit down? Because in that situation, the Rosh Hashiva tells you to stand. You stand until he tells you to sit down. He's still standing. And the teacher, Rabbi Gamliel, continues teaching. Until all the people start to, what's going on here? They told Chutzpit the Mitargem. Now, the way it worked is they were very large rooms. The Rav would give us sheet, or he would say some things, and someone with a loud voice would say it out loud and explain what was being said. They said to Chutzpit Amo, stop. V'amad, and he stopped giving the lesson over in the name of Rabban Gamliel. So you can already feel there's a lot of tension going on in the Beit Midrash. Here you have Rabbi Yoshua standing there, just kind of like biding his time. The students are all murmuring in the Beit Midrash, and Rabbi Gamliel is just going on with his shiur. Amrei. So the students all said, Ad kama ne'atzrei v'nezel. How long is this man, i.e. Rabban Gamliel, the head of the Beit Midrash, How long are we going to let him cause us problems? And last year on Rosh Hashanah, so last year there was a specific case. He caused us problems on Rosh Hashanah. In a situation with Rabbi Tzadok, which I'm not going to get into, he also caused us problems. Hachanami tzare. Now also he's causing us problems. He's causing pain to a fellow Jew. Look, Rabbi Lezer. Just Rabbi was it Rabbi Yoshua? He's just standing there. You know what? He's out of here. We're gonna take him out of here. We're gonna take him from his position, and we're gonna replace him with somebody else. Okay, good idea. But man no kimle. It's nice to have an idea. You want to remove someone from a position, but if they need to be removed, but man no kimle, who are we going to put in his position? So they said, okay, well, maybe no kimle Rabbi Yoshua. Let's just take Rabbi Yoshua, who's been embarrassed just standing here. Let's make him the head of the yeshiva. Not a good idea. Bal Masehu. He's the one that's involved in this whole thing, and it doesn't sit right with the people in the Beit Midrash do that. Okay, Nukma Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva is one of the Gedolei Hador. Let's make him the Rosh Yeshiva. Not a good idea. Dilma Anish le'delet le'zchut avot. Maybe it might not be good because he's family of a ger, and maybe there'll be some problems. He doesn't have zchut avot to help him through this. They say, we got a better idea. Nukma Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. They said, we have a great idea. There's a Rav here in the Beit Midrash who's very smart, very good person, and he's going to give the details in a minute. Let's make Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, whose name just now is showing up. Let's make him the head of the yeshiva. Why? Hu chacham, he's wise. Hu ashir, he's rich. And we'll see why that makes a difference. Hu asiri Ezra, he's the 10th generation from Ezra, who's a Kohen. And they explain why this makes a difference, why they would choose him for this. Hu chacham, the fact that he's wise. The fact that they can ask him pretty much any question, he can answer it. Hu ashir, the fact that he's rich, what does that do? If he has to give some kind of what's called a tribute to the Caesar, he has to, as the head. He has the wherewithal to give a tribute to the Caesar. Hu asiri Ezra, and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was the 10th generation from Ezra, as in Ezra Nehemiah. Because he has tremendous zchut avot, the merits of the forefathers. And therefore, it means he won't be punished. Again, I want to get into what that exactly means here, but it means he's a good person for the position. So they went and they told Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, hey, we have a great job opportunity for you. Would you be interested in becoming the head of the Beit Midrash? Now, his answer, this is not connected to the Mishne we're about to learn, but his answer is extremely instructive in relationships. Amar lahu. His response was not yes, and it wasn't no. He said, I need to ask my family. Why? Because taking on communal responsibility impacts a person's family. Taking on any job that's going to remove you from the house for any length of time and make you a public person and doing something, it's a family decision. So what did he do? He went and he asked his wife. He sat down, did exactly what he's supposed to do, as is a wife for a husband when there's a situation to do something for her too. And she said, what should I do? Let me go to the next stuff. It says here at the bottom, Amra le. She responded to him. Let me just go to the next stuff. Hold on. Hopefully I got the right page here. Oh, gotta verify that I'm a human. Hold on. I'm human, promise you. Nope. I knew that was going to happen. The wrong page. Hold on a second. Let me find. Okay, just give me a second here because it was messing me up before also. Go back here. Okay, let me take off screen share for a second. Give me 1 second before we get to the answer. Just give me a second. Oops. Give me 1 second. Oh, plus. Here it is. Okay, 28. 28. Hang in there once. I had this problem when I was preparing also. 28. 28. Uh, no. Okay. Do this just a second. Let me put this on